So welcome to the Zoom support group for resilient single mothers. We were just discussing now the issue of loneliness and how to handle Friday night. And one of our participants has just said that you have made a conscious decision to deal with this issue. I believe that you said the key words before you mentioned the 4 techniques or 4 things you did on Friday night. Being alone, your kids went away for Shabbos to their friends' houses or to your ex's house. And you said that you understand that they have their circle, they have their lives, they're developing their lives and their own personal development, and that you're alone. Usually, what you were saying to us, usually your feeling is that I am going to go into my private, silent, sad mode. That your mindset went into the loneliness mode by saying, oh, I'm going to be alone now. I'm going to be lonely now. I'm going to have a very solitary confinement type of Shabbos by myself. And you decided before Shabbos began that you're going to address this issue and you're going to say, now I'm going to have a positive Shabbos. Like a friend of mine, when I mentioned to you in our first or second session, a friend of mine said to me when I was in Eretz Yisrael and I was in quarantine for 2 weeks and I had 2 Shabbosos by myself. So my Charusa said to me, oh, you get to spend Shabbos with yourself. I said, wow. I was saying to him, woe is me. I said to him, Nebuch, I'm by myself at Shabbos, everyone's family's together. You're back in America having a good time with your family. Everyone's at home, my kids at home, with my wife at home. And look at poor me. I'm having a Shabbos by myself. I wanted sympathy. I wanted him to say, yeah, so sorry. And he turned the tables on me and he said to me, wow, you get to spend Shabbos with yourself. I even welcome that opportunity to the opportunity to spend Shabbos my own mind, my own thoughts, my own thinking, my own learning, my own space. I never thought about it that way. I thought, wow, this is a real downer, right? But I switched my attitude and I decided I was going to have a very, very powerful, emotional Shabbos with myself. And that's what you just said to us. You just said, I decided that before Shabbos happened, and it was going to happen, and I know it was going to happen, and I dreaded it usually, that when I'm going to be alone, I decided I'm going to be proactive and make this Shabbos happen. So you said to us 4 things. Can you tell us again what those 4 things you did? You said number 1 about Nefesh Shimshon. You took a sefer. Tell us about the 4 things you did.
Okay. Firstly, before I even do the 4 things, I knew it would be 3 to 4 days alone. Shabbos was just a part of it.
Wow.
So that was, the other thing is, what the 4 things I did, it did require work, like mentally and emotionally, you have to work on it, because being by yourself in this, if you view it as an emptiness and a disconnect on Shabbos, you can get lost in that. And I mentioned that during the first session where you feel like you're spiraling down. So how do you connect to something greater than yourself? So first, connecting to Shabbos and Hashem with Nefesh Shimshon on Shabbos. It's a very deep book, and this was recommended at a different presentation that I attended, not by the speaker, by attendees who have had to spend Shabbos alone, and how do they deal with it. So the mindset here is that you should not view Shabbos in an empty way. Don't view the emptiness, and it gets much deeper. And I didn't read the whole book, but parts of it. But the rabbi does address what mindset to use, what thoughts to have on Shabbos to elevate it, to add Kedusha. So that was goal 1.
Now, let me just comment on that. Nefesh Shimshon is Rav Shimshon Pinkus. And that's an English translation of his sefer called Shabbos Malkusa, Shabbos Queen. And it's a very powerful and deep sefer. In many ways, it's very simple, but in many ways, it has many, many different layers. So I recommend that sefer. That's an excellent idea of deciding I'm going to spend Shabbos with that sefer with that mindset, with that hashkafa. And you could choose any sefer for that matter. You could choose any sefer, Rabbi Tursky, or any other English sefer or Hebrew sefer that you have. So I'm going to get into the hashkafa or the thoughts. I'm going to discuss the sefer. I mean, one of my teachers is Rabbi David Aaron, and he has tremendously deep, very thin little books. David Aaron, Aaron, beautiful svarim on hashkafa and how to think and how to experience closest to Hashem. So you can choose any kind of sefer that is inspiring to you that you haven't gotten around to yet in English or Hebrew, to spend Shabbos with that sefer, spend Shabbos with that hashkafa, and say, I am going to delve into the thoughts of this sefer, this author, and learn from him. So that's a very good idea. Let's go on to the next ideas that you had.
The other thing is, because I read a lot, and I read the Jewish press, but there's something unique here because this author connects to our neshama. The author connects to our neshama, and that's really who we're spending Shabbos with when we are totally alone. It's you and your neshama. It's not just you and your physical self sitting at the table. And the other idea is that the view of emptiness and aloneness and I'm not with anyone, it contradicts the way we should be viewing Shabbos. So when I read and realized how I'm thinking and that emptiness and alone, that's not part of feeling Shabbos. So that was one. Two, I took out photos. I have boxes of photos, which I haven't had a chance to put into albums yet, but I do print out photos regularly. So I have photos from when the kids were younger, older, photos of simchas, photos of quality time, vacation time in different places with family. As I started looking at the happy photos, a simcha, suda, wedding, I felt transported to those locations. I felt connected to those people who are still a part of my life. They're just not at my Shabbos table. This ties into the breathing techniques and visualizations, which you, Rabbi Roll, introduced us to in the first two sessions. I only attended the first two, so those techniques were in the first two. Visualizing, being there, that breathing as I'm looking at the photos. So I decided that after Shabbos, I'm going to put together a happy album, just like we create gratitude journals. This is going to be a happy album, all happy events. So that was two. Number three, I made sure to make it a very beautiful Shabbos. I prepared and cooked things that I like very much so. So the table was regal. I enjoyed the Shabbos in a very nice way rather than saying, well, no one's here, so, I can have a sandwich. It was a very special Shabbos. And four, I kept it structured. I, by nature, need structure and routine. That's just how my mind stays happy. So while it was all in line with Shabbos, I did, like after dinner, I went out, I took a short walk, I came back, I had dessert. So I kept it structured. I knew I had to make this work because this is going to happen again and again. And it will take time for us to be able to host other people. And the last thing I want to say is this, that one of the photos I came across is the sunrise. And then I realized, in a simple way, just like the sun rises and the sun sets, and it was all part of the fasting on Friday as well, fast starts, fast ends, that this will end too, that the pandemic will end, the vaccines will be distributed, and we will get together with our friends and family sooner than later.
Beautiful. Those are beautiful, beautiful ideas. And yes, the first two sessions that we had together, we were dealing with aloneness, the loneliness and aloneness. And you, in fact, brought up that issue about how to deal with it. And other people are also dealing with that issue about how to handle the aloneness or the loneliness of being alone, especially on Friday night or Shabbos day, when your kids are elsewhere. Now, you said a very key thing, and that is that it takes work. The natural state of being is going to be naturally in our autopilot of being sad. Our natural state of loneliness is going to kick in when no one's there. And therefore, it takes work to counteract that mindset and to access the higher dimensions of self. Yes, physically we're alone, but as you said, learning that sefer, Nefesh Shimshon, about the Neshama. The Neshama is a Neshima, breath. The word Neshama comes from the word Neshima, breath. When you breathe, and you're breathing in God's breath, God is breathing into you. As you're breathing in, He is breathing out into you. Try it now. Breathe in. Imagine God breathing Himself, His breath into you right now. To me, that feels like God's with me. I feel like God is thinking of me. He wants me to be here. So therefore, my neshama, which is my neshima, my breath, is not alone. But it takes a conscious effort to go beyond the physical state of loneliness and enter into a mindset or a thinking, a consciousness that I am not alone, that I have a spirituality. A spirituality is something bigger than just the physical, and therefore I have a dimension of self. Now, Rabbi Tursky speaks about this, of what is the difference between, what does spirituality mean? He says spirit is something that animals don't do. Animals act instinctively or impulsively. Human beings have a spirit, a soul. What does a spirit mean? A spirit means that an animal does not think about self-improvement. You can't imagine a cow sitting by the side of the road as you drive out into the countryside, into the bungalows, and you're traveling and you see some farms and a cow sitting by the side of the road going, eating its alfalfa by the side of the road going, I wonder if I could be a better cow to my children than my father was to me. The cows are not thinking self-improvement. The cows are just eating alfalfa. They're living, eating, and dying. But a human being has a spirit, has a spirituality. The definition of spirituality is doing something for self-improvement. That's what Shabbos is. The word Shabbos, says that the Siva Shalom, is using the letters Shin, Beis, Saf, is tashuv. Taf, Shin, Beis, tashuv, to return. Shabbos is a time of tshuva, to return to your highest self. We're busy, we're running, we're doing, we're closing, we're shopping, going to work, Zooming. Shabbos is a time to get in touch with who you really are. So Nefesh Shimshon says, the Sefer Shimshon Pirka says, to get in touch with the spirituality of the Neshama. You're saying the second technique you used was to go to the soul state by opening up photographs of past events, of happy events, and going there. There's a book by Bracha Getz called The Happiness Box. And it's a wonderful little book, a hardcover book. I think it's by Feldheim, that has a little box that someone bought a refrigerator or a washer dryer, and the child was more excited about the box than the washer dryer, and the mother wanted the dryer, but the kid wanted the big box. And the parents said, this boy was sad, but the parents said, every time you go into this box, you have to be happy. So you enter into this happiness box where you think only happy thoughts. And it's a brilliant little book on a kid's level, but it's very good for human beings as well. That once you enter into this box, you have to be happy. You have to think happy thoughts. My feelings of unhappiness or loneliness are coming, my feelings are connected to my cognitions. If I am saying negative things to myself in my head, this is going to be a lousy Shabbos, I'm going to blame myself, poor me, this is terrible, why am I in this situation? If I'm saying that to myself, I am going to emotionally feel sad, lonely, depressed, anxious, broken, frustrated, mad. It all depends on this. Now that, as you said, Orit, takes effort. The natural inclination of the mind is, this is horrible. I'm alone. This is bad. And it's hard. It's hard to be alone. It's hard to be a divorcee. It's hard to raise your children by yourself for the most part, and send them every second weekend to your ex. It's hard to raise and have the same major responsibilities and have no respite and no break and no ability to have time off. It's hard. I empathize. And we all empathize. This whole group empathizes with each of us going through this singlehood. At the same time, we cannot give into it. We cannot give into that mindset of negativity. We have to apply a different, and that takes a lot of effort. So when you took out a photo album and you transported yourself into those situations and you emotionally felt what you felt there, that's called work. That's called work. You put yourself in that emotional state of being happy in those moments with your children, with the vacations, with the trips, with the bubbies and zadies, the Shabbos candles, the Hanukkah candles, whatever you did in those pictures, and the lake and whatever you went to, right? You can relive them, you know. And I say to people, you don't need photographs because you can relive the moment in your soul. You just go like this. When you're experiencing a moment, live it here, live it in your soul, and then click. And then you can go visit that place anytime you want to. It exists in your soul. It exists in your subconscious. It exists in your psyche. So when those events happen, your psyche did take photographs of those places. That's the physical photograph you're seeing. But you can put yourself in an emotional state of transporting yourself into that emotional state that you were in then. And that's the technique we said in session number 2, was going to your soul state. You can put yourself in a beautiful place, go to a beach, go to a lake, go to a canoe, go to a raft, go to a mountain, go to a hike, go to a meadow. And you could actually use your 5 senses to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch that place. And you could actually feel it. Sometimes when it's freezing cold outside, and I imagine the summertime, I actually feel warm. I actually use this mind technique. When it's freezing and cold, I imagine myself being in the summertime and it's boiling hot. And I actually could cause my psyche, my whole system, to feel warm just by the power of the mind. The power of the mind is so strong that we could enter into a different kind of mindset. So Shabbos is that mindset where we enter into an oasis of 25 hours of Kedusha, where I am going to be positive. I'm going to be alone with Hashem. I'm going to alone with my own thoughts. And secondly, you're going to go to the photographs. And I encourage everyone to look at your photographs. A beautiful idea. And then you said the third idea was you made a beautiful Shabbos table. And Rav Soloveitchik says that if there's nothing called Shabbos, then Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's no leaving the mundane. We live constantly in the mundane, in the ordinary, in the same old, same old. Comes along Shabbos, you put on your nicest, you put out some nice dishes, you make a nice meal with a vegetable and a starch and a soup and a dessert, right? Everyone's freaking out over Thanksgiving, right? I have some non-Jewish clients and they said to me before Thanksgiving, oh, it was a lot of work. Man, we had a whole family, we had a chicken, we had a turkey, we had cranberry sauce, and we had stuffing, and we had vegetables, and all the people came. I said, that is really, really unbelievable. I'm glad you did that. You know something? I do that every week. My wife and I, we do it every single Friday, Thursday night, Friday. Every week, yeah, every week we enter into this Kedusha, this elevated state, this sanctity of Shabbos. And you yourself, even on your own, can walk in and say, I'm going to put on a nice pair of clothing. I'm going to put a nice robe. I'm going to dress up. I'm going to put on some makeup. Shabbos Queen is here. The Queen is here. You can elevate the experience. Instead of saying, oh, it's going to be lonely by myself, you can say, I am going to experience an elevated state. But that, as you said, takes work. And the last thing is that you said a structure. You said you're going to have a meal. And that's what I did when I was alone in Yerushalayim. And for 2 Shabbosos, I sang the Zmiros. And then I learned. And then I went for a walk, etc. So you have to have a structure for yourself. That's a very important thing. So you form a structure that I am going to make this a proactive Shabbos. So this state of being, of handling singlehood takes a lot of effort. But you're saying to us, Orit, that yes, you can do that. And the most important thing that you said to us at the very beginning was you decided that based on this issue, you are going to make a change. You are going to change the way you're handling Shabbos. Instead of same old, always feeling alone, you're going to put in some effort. And that's a very nasty word. The nastiest word in life is change. In Hebrew, that word is called tshuva. Tshuva means I'm going to change. I'm going to return. We don't have to return only when we do something wrong. We can change proactively. Rav Soloveitchik says the most creative thing a person can do in life is tshuva. Tshuva means to recreate yourself. So we can take on a new attitude. So your ideas of how to experience Shabbos proactively and in a different state is very, very powerful. And I appreciate that very much in the comments, and I hope that they will be beneficial to other people. Does anyone else want to share some comments? I think we're going to go on now. Now, I shared with some of the participants before we joined a text document, which I think we're going to save for next time. So I'm going to ask everyone to please email to me your email address or your phone number, and I'm going to send to everybody this text. And we're going to deal with it next time. It takes a whole hour to go through this text, and the text is about emotional support. And it's, I think, important for as many people as possible to listen to this next one that we're going to do next Sunday night. I think we're running out of time now for the emotional support piece. But I want to ask everyone to please send to me your email address, and I will email to you this text. It's a 12-page text of a document that we're going to do a role play. We're going to role play together a dialogue concerning how to give emotional support to children. And that also applies to giving emotional support to a friend or a neighbor or a mother or a sister or a brother. So emotional support is a key element. And I did send, and I will send to you again if anyone's interested, on my YouTube channel. I gave a review last Sunday night at 8:30. I gave a review of consciousness. Now, my system that I shared with everyone is a system called being conscious, being woke, being awake. Not just going through the motions being awake, but being emotionally awake. And it's a 7-step system. And I reviewed that system on December 20th, and you can find that on my YouTube channel. YouTube channel, Yisrael Roll, December 20th. And it's an open video, and it's 7 steps to consciousness. Now, that's the precursor or the prerequisite to being emotionally supportive and to being there for a child or being there for a friend, is if you are conscious of your strengths, your abilities. And one of the techniques that we mentioned is going to the soul state. That's a second technique. But the first technique is the wheel of strengths, knowing consciously what your strengths are. If you don't have a wheel of strengths, I can send it to you. It's a wheel of strengths document that I can send to you that you can fill out. Just email me any questions. Ask me for the wheel of strengths at yisraelroll@gmail.com. That's technique number 1. Technique number 2 is the soul state, going to your beautiful place and feeling emotionally calm. Step number 3 is the circle of control, not focusing on what you can't control, focusing on what you can control. That 3-part system is called mind, heart, actions, Neshama, Ruach, Nefesh. That alignment puts you in a place where you can be emotionally supportive. But first, you have to have mastery over yourself. Now, this discussion we've had today is about being mastery over yourself on Shabbos, of not feeling alone, not feeling lonely. We are alone, but we don't have to be lonely. Alone does not mean lonely. Alone means unique, means contributing, means doing chesed, means that you're here for a specific alone, unique reason. So that's the approach of aloneness as opposed to loneliness. And consciousness, the 7-step system that I'm describing, and you can listen to on YouTube, and I invite you to listen to it this week before we get to next Sunday night, which is the emotional support piece, which I want to really build up as as a lot of attendees to listen to how to give emotional support, is before you can give emotional support to a child, you have to learn how to give emotional support to yourself. And that's this system. It's wheel of strengths, soul state, circle of control. That's the first three steps. Alignment of the self. Then you have a shleimus. You have an alignment, a fullness, a wholeness of self. Then there are attacks to the system. There are thoughts which come attacking that system and say, yeah, you're not so good. So we learn in step number 4 how to put those thoughts on the thought highway. Yeah, but then you have negative statements. You say to yourself, oh, I'm alone. I'm a loser. I'll never fit in. I'll never get married. I'll never remarry. This things will never turn around. So I say negative things. That's called cognitive distortions. And in step 5, I share with you how to repair and fix cognitive distortions. 6 is the inner child, the pain of my inner child, that you've had difficulties in your upbringing, or criticism, or being judged, or being excluded, or not being popular, and you feel badly. So the inner child is in pain. So in step number 6, I shared with you ideas of how to heal the inner child. Step number 7, the last step, is to choose love over fear. Instead of living in fear, choose love, choose positivity, that we've been discussing tonight. So those are 7 steps which I ask everyone to please review. It's available openly on my website, on my YouTube channel, Yisroel Roll YouTube channel. If you can't access it, email me. I'll send you the link. And I invite you all to please listen to that, so that next Sunday night, and at the same time, I'll send you this scan of 12 steps, of 12 pages of role playing. And I'm going to ask some of our volunteers, participants, to participate in the role playing next Sunday night, where we have a child-parent dialogue going on, where we learn how to be emotionally supportive. I'd like to also invite you to pick up a book called How to Talk So Children Will Listen, and How to Listen So Children Will Talk. It's a very old book. It's from the 80s by Faber and Maislish, 2 Jewish women, Faber and Maislish. How to Talk So Children Will Listen, and How to Talk So Teens Will Listen. 2 books. It's available on thriftbooks.com. Thrift books for $2 and plus shipping. And you can get it a used copy on thriftbooks.com or biblio.com, or a new copy at Amazon for $10. But it's a $2 used copy at thriftbooks.com. And I would invite you to order that book. That's a very important book. I think it's the Bible of emotional support. And I invite you to get that book in before we get to next Sunday night. Someone just emailed me. Yes, go ahead, please, Orit.
I just wanted to add one more very important take home, literally a take home message, which you provided, which I did use as well. And that is how we need to strengthen ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I believe that comes through exercise and healthful eating. And I know it sounds very trite, but the more we take care of ourselves, we strengthen ourselves, the more we connect to positivity, the greater the self-esteem. It's where, let's say, just eating cake or staying in bed, don't want to get out of bed, it's Shabbos, not eating right, that brings down our sense of strength. We need to become much stronger. And that can only be done through regular exercise, even if it's a health walk or yoga, and eating well. And you brought that up, Rabbi Roll, I believe in lecture 3, to the mom who was very overwhelmed with the kids and the home, that was how she needs to strengthen herself. And that's powerful, quite powerful.
Very much. I agree with you that I think exercise is a very important mental health opportunity, because it is very, very well known in the research that depression and anxiety is ameliorated and lessened by exercise. When you do exercise, you release endorphins, and it's called the happy gene or the happy enzyme, and it causes a better disposition in your mind. But you have to do an exercise which raises the heartbeat. can't just do casual walking where you walk around the block and casually. The walking you do has to be brisk walking or power walking or any kind of aerobics or put on a yoga video. But 20 minutes or 50, 25 minutes of real serious heart-raising activity raises the levels of endorphins and releases the happy enzyme. So you can be a way to physically overcome anxiety and depression and negativity is by exercising every day. And I'm inviting everybody to do this nasty thing. It's called change. We have to change the way things are going. We cannot just accept same old, same old. We have to be in a mindset where I am going to make a change in my life. And we can do this. And we hear from other people participating that, yes, they've made changes. And they're not going to accept that this is my sentence for the rest of my life. I am going to make a change and I am going to enjoy my life. I am a contributor. And that is the system. So I invite you to listen to that YouTube video called The System of December 20th. Check it out on December 20th, a YouTube channel, How to Handle Divorce and Depression. That's what it's called. It's called Coping with Divorce and Depression. And it's a 7-step program. So please listen to that. And then please email to me and I will email you back with the document for next Sunday night. Please let everybody know that it's available. If you can tell other participants that we're back on track and we're going to meet every Sunday night at 8:30 and going forward into the new year, into the secular year, and continue this Zoom support group. I know that in the pandemic, things are very, very hard to reconnect with people. Here's an opportunity for us to get a chizuk, a support group, some ideas, sharing ideas and thoughts of how we could strengthen ourselves. So thank you for joining us tonight. This lecture itself will be, this Zoom session will be recorded, and it'll be online at my YouTube channel later on tonight. And we hope that we'll see everyone next Sunday night at 8:30. The same Zoom link for the next 5 or 6 weeks. With the same Zoom link for the next 5-6 weeks. Emir Hashem. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for Orit for your feedback and participation. Excellent. And anyone who wants to share, please do so. Please do share. Please do connect. Please do share ideas and thoughts. I think that's fantastic. And it's helpful to everyone else to hear that we're all in the same boat going through things. And I just want to look at that chat that you just sent me right now. 1 second. And I want to wish everyone a good week. Hatzlacha Rabbah. And I hope to see you next Sunday night at 8:30. And we're going to work on emotional support. Thank you and good night.